All righty. I'll keep an eye on people still joining, but for all of you that are here, thanks for joining. If you've been with TracTru for a while, we kind of did a few webinar series over the past few years, just kind of extra trainings. We would get feedback from dealers about certain topics that they want to learn more about, and we would do them about once a quarter. But the past year, we've kind of taken off. If I'm sure most of you know by now, we did a big migration of our platforms for all of our websites and who we host on our websites. We were on Sitefinity originally, and now all of our dealers, as of a few months ago, are on our new Thrive website platform, which is hosted by WordPress. During that time, lots of change happened, and we kind of took a break from doing webinars. But now that everyone is quite literally on the same page, we want to kind of kickstart those again so that we can do these monthly series where we put out a webinar, get some interaction with the dealers, learn what you guys want to learn about, and kind of provide some insight into some back-end edits. Because while we're here to help you as much as possible and can definitely take on some of the workload of website edits for you, there's also a lot that you guys are able to do, and kind of empowering you to lean in and be able to make those website edits on your own. So thanks again for everyone who has kind of stuck with us. I know the last year has seen a lot of change, but we're excited to kind of kickstart these webinars again, and get through some trainings for topics that are interesting to y'all. For this month, the two topics that we decided to go over were manually adding inventory on the back end of the site, and kind of a once-over overview on all things form leads. These were just two topics that we tend to help dealers with quite a bit, but we also always want to hear from y'all if there's certain things that you want to learn about. So just kind of throughout the call, if there's any specific topics that you're eager to learn more about, whether it be creating pages, adding promotions, maybe something more SEO related, feel free to drop some suggestions in the chat, and I'll get that over to our team, and we can put it into maybe another webinar coming up down the line. So a little overview about manually added inventory, and then we'll dive into kind of a live demo for you. There's two ways that inventory can end up on your website. And I would say we have a pretty even split between dealers that go with equipment sync with their business system, and dealers that manually upload inventory on the back end of their site within their dealership. So we support both options. Today, we're going to specifically be talking about manually adding inventory on the back end of the site. So if you have a sync set up with a business system, whether it be HBS, Tractor House, there's an array of them. This won't cover anything sync related. That could be a topic for another webinar down the line if there's specific sync related questions, because sometimes little things pop up with that. But this topic will be specifically manually added inventory. So we'll cover everything from editing already existing inventory on the site, whether it be new or used, or adding in new inventory. We'll also talk about how to remove inventory when something sells or when you just don't want to promote it on the front end of the site. So we'll go over that process, and we'll kind of do a side-by-side comparison of back-end edits, and then how it translates to the front end, so you kind of know when you're making edits to the back end, like where is that going to display, because everything's kind of templated. So one area that you input everything, and then it does all the filtering and pushes to the page in the same format across every listing. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. I'm using our demo site as an example. We're using the used equipment page as an example here. But when you navigate to the back end of the site, you'll get pushed to the main dashboard. Yours may look a little bit different than mine. I have a few extra settings on the side here, but all of our dealers should have this products post type here on the left-hand side. So when you navigate to the products post type, all of your inventory, if you have some already uploaded, will live here. With this example, there's only one piece. See, I think someone tried to join the call. Okay. When you're creating a new product for the first time, you'll click add new at the top. So add new product. For this example, I created a test one, so I'll click into this to kind of show you all of the fields that you would input for creating a new piece of inventory. Click into this one, give it a second to populate. So every listing, you'll have a spot for a title. The title will show up both on the main list card as well as on the title on the detail page. The title is also what creates your slug for the listing as well. So you'll see that it has the title is included in the slug there. You can see it's created right here for you. Scrolling down, you have your main description box. There's going to be 2 spots for descriptions, so I'll break them down a little bit. The first main description is here. It kind of works like a Word document. So you can bold, bullet, basically format the main description as much as you'd like. And that will show up at the bottom of the detail page underneath overview right here. You'll also have a spot for a shorter description. You got to scroll a little bit for it, but it'll be down kind of towards the bottom, this product short description, and that will live on the detail page again, but it's kind of nested up in this upper section a little bit. So maybe a little bit shorter description. And if you have some more details you want to spruce up, those would be in the main description, which populates down here. Then we're going to scroll through a couple of these tabs under the product fields. The first is your details tab. This is where you put in as much information related to stock number, serial number, year, manufacturer, all the information. You'll fill out these fields here, and those will populate in this section here. When we hop over to some of these additional tabs, we see fewer dealers really build these out, but just wanted to go through all the options for you. Under additional content, you can add in a feature section. This would be if you're kind of trying to highlight maybe certain what different features are included in your equipment. You can basically build out these little cards that have a title and details. Those will show up under features here. So it'll kind of create a little drop down with additional information. You also have an option of creating specs. So it's like creates a chart for you based on spec and then a value of whatever value is related to that label. And that will show up under specs, and it kind of creates a little chart for you like this. On to the next tab, you have your links area. This is where you would link any promotions or specific products. Oh, sorry, any promotions or locations. So, for example, there's a test TracTru package or some sort of service special that you're trying to link to a product. You would select it from the options here. You can see that we have a test TracTru package that's added, and that's what's showing up under this specials and promotions. So this would take you to the related promotion. And if you had multiple locations, this example doesn't have any listed, but if you were to have multiple locations, you can select one from the list here, and then it would populate that location information on the product that you added to. So those post types are very similar to how they relate. That kind of covers all of this main panel of detail information that you can add for your equipment. But the side panel is just as, if not more important. This is where your images go and where you can kind of break down the tags and categories for your inventory. First option here, this will be your main product image. This is just something that's going to come either from your already existing media library, or you can upload it directly from your computer. But the product image is your main image. So that's going to be the one that shows up first on the detail page, and also shows up on your equipment card. The product gallery will be any additional images. So again, these come from your media library or from uploaded directly from your computer. And those will be your thumbnail images. So when you click into the details, That's what's creating these thumbnails on the left-hand side here that you can shuffle through. Scrolling down a little bit more, you're able to create a series of categories. This will be kind of a way for you to fill out just kind of the sorting options that are available on the sidebar filters. And it also kind of nests thing under, new, tractor, subcompact, and you kind of build those out quite a bit. When we look at this example, we can see that the main parent is used equipment, it's a tractor, and it's a subcompact tractor. So you can build these out and customize these as best you see fit. Next section, and probably should have started with this one, but product tags are probably the most important element of creating new inventory. A tag is what tells the page which inventory to host. So most of our dealers will have a new and a pre-owned page. So those are the most used tags. If you have a pre-owned piece of equipment, you assign it the pre-owned tag. If this piece of equipment was new, you would add the new tag. So in this example, this listing would be available on both the pre-owned and the new page. If you only want it to be on the pre-owned, only assign the pre-owned tag. If you only want it to be on the new page, assign it the new tag. That's basically telling the page which inventory to pull and place and filter onto it. Those are most of the details that people put into, oh, I forgot price. That's a really important one. That will be under your details area as well. I think I kind of breezed through it a little bit earlier. Under product data, this is where you put in your pricing. If you don't input any price, which is completely okay, the placeholder will be call for pricing. All of the call to actions for requesting a quote, trade value, call us, those are integrated into the detail page. But if you want price, this is the format that you would input it. When you look at that on the front end, I utilized both the original pricing and /sales pricing, which you can see are the two options here. And that pricing also carries over to the detail page in this format here for you. Whenever you're happy with all of the details of your products, you're always going to look for some sort of publish, update, save button. Depending on the stage of the publication, that verbiage will change. If it's an already existing listing, it will just preface you with update. If it's a brand new listing and you're publishing it for the first time, it'll prompt you with publish. So when you're happy with the changes, you will always click update. And then those changes will push to the front of the site pretty close to automatically. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for it to cache. I'm going to pause here for a second, just if anyone has any questions with any of the options of fields that you can fill out for a product description. Okay. Sounds like we're feeling all right about that. The next thing we'll cover, kind of in the same realm of adding, editing products, is when something sells. Since this is manual inventory updates, you need to remove things from the site manually when something sells from the site. You have a few options for that. The first would be you can just trash it, throw it away. When you click this trash button, it'll remove any of the information from the back end as well as the front end. That's relevant with used equipment, I would say, just because you don't usually ever get the exact same piece again. But another option is you can remove something from the front end of the site, so from the customer view, but it's still accessible in the back end view. So if you get a similar item later down the road, you can just republish it, maybe change a few details, and then you can republish it to the front end of the site. So that option, you would just kind of hover over quick edit, change the status from scheduled draft. And now this and refresh the front end and then you want to do the inverse. So when something is ready to go back on the front end of the site, you would just do the reverse of that. So quick edit, change the status from draft to published or scheduled. And then it would go back onto the front end of the site. Any questions about manually added inventory? I would say that's probably the most asked about topic on the platform, and it definitely differs from how it used to be on Sitefinity. Sometimes you just have to get in there and mess around with it a little bit, though. Right. So this will be doing 4 minutes. We have a lot more flexibility with forms on this platform than we did on our old, which is really awesome. There are some limitations to adjusting form leads and really getting in there and being able to see all of the notifications, confirmations, where forms are going. So I think that's a lot more easily navigatable on our Thrive platform. So we'll be reviewing how to update leads, how to review and make any updates to confirmations that get sent to your customer, that get sent to your dealership and where they go to, and to review just any sort of submissions that come through on the back end of the site. We'll also look over how to create new forms, which we don't see dealers do a ton, but I'll give just a couple tips about how to set up new forms, and we'll dive into the back end of that site right now. Alrighty. So again, this will be another post type that is available for all of our dealers. So again, navigating through this left-hand dashboard here, you'll have a section for forms. All of our dealers start off with kind of a standard templated amount of forms on the site. So general contact, request a quote, part service, and they're most likely already placed throughout the site for you. So they'll live in areas like under your service, you'll have your service request form, parts request, general contact, all of the request to quote, trade value, those will be kind of integrated into all of the detail pages of your inventory pages. You can see on this example, we already have the request to quote, trade value, so on and so forth. If you have careers page, it'll be already integrated into your careers listings. So a lot of the work is already done for you. When we come into this forms view, there's a lot of different things that we can take a look at. I'm just kind of going to use the contact us as an example, and I'm just hovering here. So I'm hovering over contact us under settings. You'll get this drop down, and this is the main area that you're going to want to live in for checking form leads. So notifications are form leads. Confirmations are what get sent to the customer. So when we click into notifications here, you'll have 2 notification options. The first is what gets sent to the dealer, so whoever set up on the form leads, and the confirmation is what gets sent to the customer. So when we look into this first one, let's say you have a new employee and they need to receive any form leads for contact us. You'll be looking at this send to email. So right now, any contact us forms that get submitted on the site go to the Capote help at TracTru.com email. If you need to add an additional email, it would just be comma, and then add in the second email there. And then if you have multiple people, comma, new email, comma, new email. Whenever you're done making changes, you're always going to want to scroll down and find that update notification button. If you have multiple locations and thus want emails to go to different people depending on the location, you can do a configure routing option. So this wasn't available on our old platform, so we're really excited about it now. But you can go over to configure routing, and then there's all of this mapping that you can set up. So you would do send to Kubota help if nearest location is Irvine, or send to Kubota help if nearest location is Grapevine. And so you can set up a bunch of different mapping to send to different emails depending on the location. I think this is a great new way for dealers to really get in there and mess around with their leads and make sure they're on top of it. Also, we can always help with this if it feels overwhelming or you don't want to tackle it your own. More than happy to help with these types of updates as well. Looking at the confirmations as well, this is what gets sent to the customer when they fill out a form. A lot of these are already going to be set up to be approved by Pied Piper, so you're like making sure that everything is submitted in a way that is approved by Kubota. But you can spruce these up a little bit if you want. So if you want to add a little bit more thank you or information about your dealership, you can update those messages a little bit more. If you got any changes, just make sure you're updating them. And then you can just navigate through all of the forms and make changes as you see fit. So if you want to make updates to the request a quote form, get into those notification centers, check out where they're going. All of this will be kind of set up in the same fashion with emails that you guys have provided from the old platform, or if we've made recent updates for you, these will be updated in the back end of the site. If you are wanting to create a new form, the best way to do that would be to duplicate an already existing one and then change the settings from there. And the reason why we suggest that is because if you create a new form from scratch, none of the confirmation or notification settings are set up. So the best way to do that would be to just come in here, duplicate one that's already existing, and then you can come into the settings and manipulate it in a way that works for whatever form you're trying to create. So whether that be like changing the title, everything else is kind of set up as that should be. Coming to the confirmations and making any changes to the confirmations, coming to the notifications and updating where you want those new leads to go for your new form. And then in terms of editing the form itself, you'll go ahead and head up to the edit button. And this is where you can kind of add new fields, request new information, and change things in this format. So when we come into here, there's a lot of standard information that's kind of across all forms, name, phone number, email. But there's a few standard fields over here on the right-hand side that you can drag and drop to get more information. So whether that be like just a single line text where you're just asking a question and then receiving more information. When you click into it, there's a label, description, you can mark it as required or not, so on and so forth. And this is how you would kind of create a new form. When you're done with any changes, you would save it. And then I'm going to navigate to a page. I'm just going to kind of pick one at random. You'll have options of editing all of your pages. It'll be a post type over here on the left-hand side. But let's say we create a new form and now we want to place it on a page so that we can interact with our clients. I'm going to go ahead and come over to the About page just for example purposes. And we're going to want to find the form block that we've created. So here's our About page. We want to click into the page somewhere that we want the form to live. You'll be prompted with the little plus sign like so. And then we're going to look for form. You just start typing, you'll see that it's prompting you with a gravity form option. Go ahead and click that, and then whatever form you want will populate here. Here's like the test one that I just created, but along with any of your other forms that are already populated on the site. Select it, give it a second to populate, and then that form will be able to be interacted with on the page that you've placed it on. Just like all of the other saving as you're working on things goes, pages are the same. Always look for some sort of save, publish, update button. It'll most likely always be in the upper right-hand corner. And when you do so, now this page has a newly created form on the About page that dealers can interact with. And forms we're making form edits.
Hey Mel, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hey, Wes.
Yeah, one thing I was just gonna add is just a reminder to you guys who are on, a reminder to check your forms often. So, and a reminder to set your forms up to route to something like for example with TracTru, if you fill out the sales form on our website, it goes to sales@tractru.com. And that routes to me and multiple people on our team, so that that way if I'm on vacation or somebody else is on vacation or out of the office for whatever reason, those sales leads are still getting followed up with. And then same thing, if you just have all your forms routing to one person, if that person were to quit and you were to forget to update your website and update your forms, those you could be missing opportunities. And so just as a reminder, make sure that that's part of your process. So whenever you're onboarding a new employee, make sure you're adding them to the proper forms that they need to receive. And then same thing, if somebody quits, moves on to something else, you're updating your forms as well to make sure that those go to whoever is taking their place.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Wes. And kind of just piggybacking off of that, if there's ever like a little time where you don't get to updating as fast as you can, leads going to your team automatically is a really important thing to do. But you can also always view entries in the back end of the site. So if there's ever like a weird time where maybe leads aren't getting sent to where you want them to go, those are still being recorded and documented in the back end. So you'll still have access to those as well. So you'll see that this entries area will start to fill out with every single form submission that gets recorded. Will still live in the back end of the site, whether it's getting sent to the right person or not. So you'll always be able to view those entries for each form kind of in a format like this. We only have some tests on this one, but thanks for that extra note, Wes. And then I think that pretty much wraps it up. I like to keep them short and sweet, but we're also always looking for suggestions from dealers about what other things you want to learn about. So if you have any suggestions, if there's something more you're curious about, I think the format of kind of doing a screen share is helpful for a lot of our dealers compared to just written out instructions on things. If you've talked to me at all through our help desk, I send video recordings all the time. Maybe that's just how I learn, but I think it's usually helpful, and you can kind of save recordings and review them on a time that's convenient for you. So, I'll do that for a little bit, but if no one has any questions, we'll keep it short and wrap it up here.